I think there's some fun news as of right now when it comes to Zebec. And what is that, even though nothing I say is financial advice? Now, very recently, Zebec cards, they made a post on X and it's saying how CyberLife Studios is being added to the Zebec cards and it's going live next week. Now, why do I think it's pretty cool? Even though I'll talk about 10 cents later on in the video when it comes to ZBCN. But again, what is CyberLife? Now, prior to this, I've never heard about it before, but when I take a look at it, quite simply put, it is supposedly an AI native gaming platform. Now, why do I find this pretty interesting? It's because even though AI is still a pretty big narrative as of right now, and I still think it's hypothetically going to be pretty awesome if, let's say, there was an altcoin season, but besides that, if I take a look at blockchain gaming more specifically, or let's say just gaming in general, within this space, it's not really kind of talked about that much anymore. I'm still very excited for blockchain gaming projects, for instance, but just generally speaking, a lot of the attention kind of disappeared ever since 2021. But still, nonetheless, I still like blockchain gaming more specifically because if we take a look at the blockchain gaming market, it is expected to be worth over $300 billion by 2030, according to Grandview Research. So that's really impressive. I mean, again, when people like to say, oh, blockchain gaming, it doesn't have a future, well, maybe it's not doing as good as it did in the past in terms of popularity, but in terms of the future, I still think that there could very well be better days ahead, but only time will tell. Again, when it comes to CyberLife, it's not necessarily the most popular thing out there that I've seen, but I think it's a thought that counts here because I think it showcases that Zebec is at least doing something and not just not really doing anything. That's the way I view it. Some other projects out there, in terms of the updates, I felt like they just gave up. They just don't update anymore. Now, maybe they might do it later on when the market picks up, but still, I think not updating during a time where, let's say, necessarily altcoins aren't doing the best, I don't think sometimes it's that good of a look in terms of, the optics, right? Because if I like a project and let's say during times where the market is not doing good, they're just consistently not updating, sometimes it just doesn't, I think, represent a project that really wants to persevere during a moment where the project, in terms of the price, isn't necessarily doing the best. And I feel like sometimes these developers, they do know, right, that the market is going to move in trends. There's going to be ups and downs. It's going to be roller coaster sometimes. So if they know that, why would they give up, quite essentially, when the market isn't doing the best? Now, there's a lot of reasons, but then generally speaking, in terms of just simple updates or something like that, what's the big deal in that? I just don't see it. Like, even personally, I know that the market sometimes is going to have ups and downs. Like, it's not only just going to be up all the time and then it's never going to go down. There's going to be ups and downs. And I'm not even a developer. So, let alone if I was, I don't know why I'd give up. But besides that point, when I take a look at something like Zebec as well, people like to say, okay, but how is this going to be a big narrative during, let's say, if there was an altcoin season? Well, it's because if something like Ripple and Stellar are presumably going to be a big narrative during an altcoin season, I don't know why Zebec won't at least have some of that attention because, quite frankly, if we take a look at the payments and global chain finance space, there's not that many competitors. There's not that many compelling options, in my opinion. Like, sure, there's XRP, XLM, but they're very massive in terms of market cap. For instance, I still believe in XLM, but I can't deny that the market cap is pretty massive in the grand scheme of things. But then if we take a look at beyond that, like more so the projects that are below that $2 billion market cap range when it comes to, again, projects that are focused on payments and global chain finance, I don't think there's that many compelling options. Like, for instance, of course, I personally do believe in something like ZBCN, even though I can't speak on anyone's behalf. But if I take a look at further, of course, there's XDC. Now, XDC, I think, is arguably the most popular one, if we remove XRP and XLM within this space. But that's two, right? And then we take a look at XCN in no specific order. Again, that's number 3. We take a look at 4. There's XPR. Number 5, there's Swiftcoin. Like, how is that many? If there was, let's say, 10, 20, or 30, then that's, of course, a different case. But there's not that I see as of right now when it comes to this. When it comes to other market sectors out there, it's very, easy to name over 10, for instance. But in this case, it's not that many that are that compelling in my perspective. Again, that is below that $2 billion market cap range. Now, above $2 billion, of course, again, there's XRP and XLM in terms of market cap, but they're just very massive, right? I don't know if every single person who wants to believe in payments and global chain finance is automatically going to want to gravitate to a market cap that is that massive in the case of, let's say, XRP or XLM. they're still very popular, but I don't know if every single person wants to believe in that type of project of that size. This is just my perspective, but again, that's just what I'm thinking about. However, when I take a look at something like ZBCN at the idea 10 cents, it's currently around a 25x from here. So it's still around 2 times lower than what I saw ZBCN not too long ago, but still, I don't view it as necessarily such a bad thing. Other projects out there have kind of dipped 80, 90%. ZBCN not too long ago was around 11x from the price of 10 cents. Now it's just around a 25x. It's not like it dipped that much. Now, over 50%, that seems like a big deal sometimes, right? And I get it. Within, let's say, the space of Bitcoin or Ethereum, that's going to seem like a very big deal. Totally aware of that. But ZBCN is an altcoin, and the market cap is in the hundreds of millions. It's not in the billions yet, as of right now, and it's not in the tens of billions, let alone. So sometimes seeing that kind of big dip, it is sort of prevalent in the grand scheme of things, but within, market caps that are still in the hundreds of millions and something like that, it's not too rare to see that, especially if there is a pullback when it comes to the altcoin space. So yeah, when it comes to ZBCN, sure, over 50% pullback from not too long ago, it seems like a big deal. But to me, within this space, while other competitors out there have dipped 80, 90%, this is not holding that bad in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion. And I haven't given up when it comes to ZBCN, because even though ZBCN was over 50% lower than not too long ago, when I actually first started talking about ZBCN, it was actually way lower than where it was as of right now. But even besides all that, again, around a $9.5 billion market cap at the price of 10 cents, which it would have considering current circulating supply at this point, it's nothing necessarily that, I think, too outlandish. Like, it doesn't seem as such a groundbreaking thing. Like, that figure is not going to break any records. It's not going to be, the most talked about project out there. I'm totally aware of that, but still, I don't think it's that bad. And I don't know if something like, for instance, even though I believe in XLM, is that going to be doing around a 25x in the next 5 months? I don't know about that. The market cap's already pretty massive. Now, only time will tell, but this is just the way I view it. And again, when I take a look at something like ZBCN, I do like how not too long ago it was top 10 in terms of utility when it comes to Solana. So I think that kind of gives it a little bit more validation, considering how Solana is a very popular layer 1 blockchain. Now, granted, it is more so, I think, known for meme coins as opposed to these utility-driven projects. Totally aware of that, but still, it was a pretty amazing achievement for ZBCN not too long ago, and if there was an altcoin season, could some of the attention when it comes to Solana trickle down to this? Who knows? But it wouldn't surprise me. But only time will tell. But again, I just wanted to talk about this news real quick about CyberLife, because I thought it was a pretty fun news. It's nothing that is the best thing of all time. It's not necessarily something groundbreaking, but still, I think it's fun. I think it showcases that Zebec is still doing something, and how they're actually taking their cards seriously, right? Other projects out there, they have cards, but just for the sake of that. But when we take a look at Zebec, their cards, it's powered by MasterCard, and then also on top of that, it supports many blockchains, like for instance, even the Base network, which is Coinbase's layer 2. So that's pretty impressive, and again, it's pretty fun news seeing what they did with CyberLife Studios. And yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe what they could do moving forward. We've already seen what they kind of done with Bonk when it comes to the Zebec cards, and then also we take a look at when it comes to Zebec, we've seen what they've done when it comes to Algorand. So overall, hopefully better things to come when it comes to Zebec, and I'm still staying patient, still staying tuned. When will there be an altcoin season? That's beyond my capabilities. The only thing I can do is just stay patient, hold, and I just wait, dollar cost average, and just prepare myself for a moment in time in which there is an altcoin season, and hopefully go along with the ride maybe at that point. But only time will tell. I'm staying patient. I haven't given up. And even though I'm not telling you to do anything, I'm just waiting and staying patient. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.